To begin with, most people don't realize they are trapped until something forces them to stop. The structure looks normal at first: work, earn, repeat. But over time, it becomes clear that income depends entirely on showing up every single day. When time stops, income stops too, and that dependency quietly controls every decision. At first glance, earning more money seems like the obvious solution. Work longer hours, negotiate higher pay, or stack multiple jobs. But increasing income without changing structure only increases pressure. More effort raises expectations, not freedom. Time remains limited, energy drains faster, and the system still relies on constant personal involvement to function. Eventually, a deeper question emerges. Not how much money can be made, but how income is actually generated. Does it require constant presence, or can it continue independently? This is where awareness begins. The realization is subtle but powerful. Effort alone is not the problem. Dependency on effort is. At this stage, many people confuse productivity with progress. They optimize schedules, manage tasks, and chase efficiency. But even the most optimized routine still trades time for income. No matter how well it's managed, time remains finite. The ceiling doesn't move. The structure itself must change for real freedom to exist. This is where income systems come into focus. A system is not a shortcut or a trick. It is a structure designed to function repeatedly with reduced dependence on personal effort. Instead of starting from zero every day, systems compound previous work. Results continue even when attention shifts elsewhere. Importantly, systems do not eliminate work. They relocate it. Effort moves from constant execution to intentional setup. The early stages may even feel harder, but the nature of effort changes. Work becomes strategic instead of reactive, deliberate instead of endless, and aimed at leverage rather than survival. To clarify, leverage is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right things once, then allowing them to repeat. Content, automation, assets, and distribution channels all serve this purpose. When structured correctly, they separate time from income, creating space where income continues without constant oversight. In contrast, effort-based income requires constant renewal. Each day resets progress back to zero. Systems-based income builds forward momentum. Yesterday's work still matters today. This difference compounds over time. One path leads to exhaustion. The other leads to stability, predictability, and eventually, flexibility. As understanding deepens, fear often appears. Releasing direct control feels risky. Systems feel uncertain at first because results are delayed. Unlike hourly work, systems require patience before reward. But this delay is temporary. Once established, systems outperform effort-based income precisely because they do not depend on constant presence. At this point, clarity replaces confusion. The question is no longer how hard to work, but what to build. Attention shifts toward structures that scale, repeatable processes, digital assets, and platforms that distribute value automatically. Income becomes something that flows through systems, not something chased every single day. Now, it becomes clear why earning more per hour does not solve the core problem. Time still remains finite. Even high income collapses the moment work stops. Systems change that equation entirely. They allow income to persist, stabilize, and grow independently of constant effort, creating a fundamentally different relationship with work. It is important to be precise here. Systems are not passive fantasies. They require responsibility, maintenance, and adjustment. But the difference is sustainability. Instead of being the engine, you become the architect. Effort shifts from survival mode into design mode, where decisions create long-term outcomes. Over time, this shift reduces stress in unexpected ways. Income becomes predictable. Decisions are no longer rushed. Opportunities are evaluated strategically instead of emotionally. When income does not collapse the moment you step away, choice expands. Freedom is not instant, but it becomes tangible and real. Eventually, the goal evolves again. It is no longer about escaping work entirely. It becomes about choosing work intentionally. Systems create optionality. They allow people to work because they want to, not because they must. That distinction alone transforms motivation, creativity, and long-term satisfaction. At this stage, income feels fundamentally different. It is no longer fragile. It does not demand constant attention to survive. While effort still exists, it is purposeful and aligned. Stress decreases, control increases, and decisions are no longer dictated by urgency or fear of interruption. To conclude, income systems are not about avoiding effort. They are about removing dependency. When income no longer collapses the moment time stops, everything changes. Stability replaces pressure. Choice replaces obligation. And what once felt impossible begins to feel structured, intentional, and entirely achievable.